And welcome back. I'm joined in studio now by Joe Biggs, and it is time for the News Blitz. Now, Joe, we have several articles to go over, top news of the day, top news of the week. And I want to start with this as we talk about the fight for 15 and people saying that they want a higher minimum wage. Now, my view of it, if you can convince the CEO of McDonald's or whatever to take a pay cut and let that trickle down to the employees, I'm fine with that. But the notion that you're going to raise wages by potentially raising the cost of your already crappy food and expecting the customer to shoulder that burden, I don't think is a very cost-effective way to think about it. And now we see that Wendy's is actually replacing people with kiosks. So basically, when you go to Wendy's, there's going to be a red box or some form of that at the cash register there to greet you.
I actually wrote an article about this a little over 2 years ago. It's something I use to kind of help, that I showed Alex as like, hey, I can write, things like that. And it's something I'm pretty passionate about because I think it's completely and totally ridiculous. At the end of the day, you've got so many small businesses that it's going to affect. Now, given, Wendy's, places like this can kind of handle that. It's not going to hurt them so bad. But in my article, I wrote that either they go to the 15 and small businesses just go away because they're not going to be able to afford that, or they're going to replace people with robots.
Yes.
And we're already seeing that in shipping departments and different companies around the country. We're seeing these robots that go around, move up with like a forklift, pick up a box that has a barcode on it, and it just goes by that barcode. The more we raise that up, the price is going to go up of food. The minimum wage is going to. The whole point is these jobs are meant for kids.
Yes.
16 to 22. Who are in college. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to learn work skills, when to get up in the morning. How to be on time. How to learn some kind of work ethic. It's not supposed to be a job that you provide for your family full time. Now, given there are some people that don't really have that many choices, but that's few far, and it's a small percentage. This low wage at those jobs should motivate you to learn. Go to a trade school. I mean, don't go become a psychologist. Who cares? We got enough of those guys. But learn welding and things like that can actually be used. Electricians, we need those. We're going to need those if things go down. So
absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. My first job was bagging groceries for less than $6 an hour. And I knew way back then at 16 years old, I don't want to do this as a career. Now, of course, you can move up to management and other things, but for the people who don't aspire to that, you get your whatever, $10 an hour, whatever it is now, and then you go to school or you go off to the military, you do something else till this is not your main career.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's bad to move it up. I mean, because really at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to be the small businesses. They're not going to be able to pay that out. And those guys are going to be affected. And that's who we need to be boosting up in our economy in America right now, are these small businesses. And we need to promote that stuff. We need to have more products being made here. And we need to, I don't know, I just don't like it.
And also for the people who want the $15 an hour, I understand their financial issues and things like that, but you're pricing yourself out of a job. So it's much cheaper for them to hire.
But think about how much that Wendy's burger is right now. Like a chicken sandwich from Wendy's, maybe like $1.50 or something like that. Then you add the meal, the drink, the fake fries that have 19 ingredients in it. You have cheap fake food. That's going to go up. Now you're going to be paying like Whole Foods price for fake
whole
food.
Paycheck for fake food.
McDonald's today just announced that they're going to start using real beef.
Oh my God.
But here's the thing though. They're just now saying that it's real beef. This whole time people are eating this and you're just like, it's just mush. There's like dead rats and cats and, somebody's kitten.
Silicone breast
Every
implants.
time you drive down the road and you see that missing cat sign, like that's where your food's going.
Yeah, the McDonald's food has not been the healthiest. And it's very interesting. If you go to other places around the world, they have different food standards. So I hear that you can go to a fast food restaurant, for example, in Europe, and the food is a higher quality.
And when I was in Paris covering the attack that happened at the Bataclan Theater, I actually walked to a McDonald's a few blocks away because I was just curious because I heard that they actually used real ingredients, real food and all that. So when you walk up to this McDonald's, there's these huge signs, these placards that say, says no GMO, real beef patty, and explains what it is, in French and English. Real French fry, ingredient, potato.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, my mind's blown because if I did that protest at South by a year ago or whatever when I dressed up like Donald McDonald. And we went around these flyers. Yeah, 19 ingredients. I know we're kind of going on a tangent now, but still though, like that's important though, that we should have real food. And we don't need to be paying people at McDonald's, Wendy's, $15 an hour, or yes, you will be replaced by a robot.
All right. Joe Biggs, what do you have in your stack?
Well, I've got a couple things. Kardashian author of Caitlyn's book says Faith could make her Bruce again. And I just find this interesting because they keep saying that, you know, she's like the superhero of America, that, you know, and they're calling her her. That's a dude dressed like a lady.
Yes.
There's been no change made. There's been no snip and tuck.
Basically, he grew out his hair and put on lipstick.
He's a drag queen. But yet we're told that these are heroes. And they're saying that, you know, she's having this whole deal, or he's having this whole gender struggle. And that because of Faith might switch back. So basically take off a dress, put on shorts and a tank top, go for a jog, maybe win a decathlon, eat some Wheaties, and go back to being normal.
Yeah, and that's kind of the deal. Like, so much attention has been given to this guy, and he himself seems to be very confused.
He won Woman of the Year, which further proves men can do anything.
Yeah, and that's one thing. And as you talk about this Man of the Year, I know we're going off on some side deals here, but I was very surprised that there weren't more women outraged by that. Like, he was like Athlete of the Year, Female Athlete of the Year, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, where are all the women? Like, where's
the ESPYs or something? Yeah.
Something like that. I'm like, what about all these fantastic female athletes that we have that are not getting recognized because men are taking their awards?
And now we're going to have men going into women's restrooms. It's a very confusing time in America.
I was talking to somebody about this.
This is truly the land of confusion.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this a little bit earlier when we talk about these social justice warrior movements. I think people, they see the struggles like the civil rights movement with MLK and all that, and they so desperately want to be MLK that they are taking a completely almost parody approach to what he did and the people like him did, just not just here but all over the world. You know, Gandhi, whoever. And they're coming up with these bathroom movements and banning cans of beer and all these things that have nothing to do with making your life better. It's just these people trying to dictate your life. Yeah,
it's more division. All these social justice, the social justice warriors, they do nothing but create more division, more hatred, more separation between our people. It's ridiculous. We should all be able to get along, but it's when safety is concerned, that's when my problem is with the bathroom. But we'll get to that in a minute.
All right, now let's keep talking about safety. Here in the state of Texas, we have concealed carry, we have open carry coming. Now we see that Texas has 1 million licensed carry handgun licensees walking around the state of Texas. Joe Biggs, I know you are a licensed carrier. Is this something that concerns you at all to know that there are people out there carrying these firearms?
I feel safer, you know, especially when you look at the actual statistics involved. These licensed firearm carriers that go through these courses, they learn the responsibility. And when you go to this class, the point of these classes are to scare you that if you screw up, if you make a bad choice, that's your butt on the line. You can go to jail for a long time.
Absolutely.
So people, criminals, they don't go through that. They don't understand, or they don't care. That's why they're criminals. They don't care if they go to jail. But these guys who go through these courses, they understand the repercussions of what could happen if you pull that weapon at a wrong time, if you do it out of emotions and not out of actual safety. You know, there's reports of people running around trying to pull guns to shoot bank robbers. You're not a police officer.
Yes.
You know, so we have more people who do the right thing that go through these courses versus those who don't.
I agree. I have no issue with it because one of the arguments here in Texas was, if we have open carry here, this is, you know, years ago before they passed the legislation, but if we have open carry here, we'll have, you know, the wild, wild west. People can run around, you know, I guess bring back their horses and be having shootouts in the street. And I'm from Oklahoma. We passed open carry, I believe, back in 2013. I go back to Oklahoma for, you know, vacation or Christmas or whatever. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 people open carrying outside of police officers. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's just that there's people out there that want to have that right. And we as Americans, we're founded on liberty and freedom. Mm-hmm. We should have that right. And
I agree.
I have the right, you know, I have the right to open carry, but guess what? I choose not to because I think that gives away my hand. Mm-hmm. I think open carrying with pistols is not a good thing personally, due to what I've seen in combat and how that can give away my position and what I have to the enemy if there's someone that means to do harm.
Yes.
I'd rather have that concealed. If someone's running through, you know, got a gun or whatever, I'm not a threat to him. But if he runs by and he has a gun and automatically sees it on the outside, who's he going to go for first? Me, and then take out the other people. So I believe that everyone should have the freedom to make their own decision. I just don't personally do it.
I agree. All right, what else do you have?
Well, this is something we actually covered a long time ago. There was a fire. Remember this fire that left 15 dead at a Texas fertilizer plant?
Oh, yes. Was that in West?
Yeah, around Houston or something like that, I
Okay, this is a
believe.
different fire. Okay.
Yeah, so back then, this was April 17, 2013. The fire set off on one of the worst industrial disasters in Texas history. The deadly explosion of a fertilizer plant in West Texas that killed 15 people was intentionally set. Now, I know Rob Dew, Rob Jacobs, all these guys were talking about this back then and said they thought it was intentional, a false flag, of so to say, and everyone started making fun of them, saying, oh, that's crazy, this was just an accident. And now here they are, years later, 3 years down the road, and they're saying that it has been ruled intentional. So it's definitely something interesting to look into if you're watching this right now to read about it.
Absolutely, and and it often happens. If you're ahead of the curve, people just laugh at you, and then when they get up there to where you are, they're like, oh, okay.
I mean, that's something we're seeing every day, though, here with our job, talking about, how there's Saudi involvement with 9/11, and now it's mainstream news.
It's on
like
60 Minutes.
The same people who were mocking us years ago are now going, well, blah, 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 blah. I've got a buddy, I'm not going to say his name on here, really big journalist, writes for all kinds of people, Intercept, all this stuff. And they used to laugh at me and make fun of me when I said that. And now they're writing articles about it. And I'll tweet them or whatever, like, haha, that's some conspiracy stuff, huh? They just won't say anything, won't respond back.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that we're able to kind of do this stuff. But then once it's proven, you don't get the credit.
Absolutely not. You're still a conspiracy theorist, and they'll still try to throw that in your face. But we'll see what goes from here. Now let's talk about going nowhere with the TSA. We have videos of TSA. We travel quite a bit,
Yes.
more than myself. We've had many experiences with the TSA, and now we see they have massive lines. And they're saying the reasons for the massive lines is they don't have the proper funding to get the proper equipment. My retort to that is the reasons why you have these massive lines at TSA checkpoints is because they're pulling people out of the lines to check their Altoid cans. This happened to me personally. The guy patted me down. He looked in my bag. It had all this camera equipment. I guess he thought it was a bomb or whatever. He pulls out a can of Altoids, opens it, jiggles it around, puts it back in the bag.
My last trip to Eugene the other day with Darren McBreen, I'm walking through line, and the guy, as you finally go through this long, hour-long, snake line, you get there, and there's this guy, he's got a dog, he's like, what's your purpose today? I was like, oh, go eat at my favorite little restaurant inside the terminal. And I was like, no, I'm getting on an airplane. What do you think? Why else would I be at the airport today, dude? Like, did you think you were going to throw me off with that hard-hitting question? He's like, well, where are you going? I was like, to the other part of the country?
To America?
Well, why does it matter? He's like, so how long are you going to be there? Is this for business or pleasure? I was like, it doesn't freaking matter. Like, why is any of that your business? And that is another thing they're doing that slows you down.
I have power. I have power.
And it's some donut chasing mental case.
Well, I mean, they hype these guys up and make them think that they're Captain America.
They're the guys who didn't get picked at dodgeball. They're the guys that got made fun of and got sent home because they couldn't run. They didn't do anything. And all they did was sit around and play with Garbage Pail Kid cards all day or whatever. I'm sorry. That's what.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure there are good people in TSA, but I haven't seen too many of them. They just harass you. They give all these ridiculous questions. I'm like, what?
Please make sure you empty your pockets, and then they go through that same spiel over and over and over again. Like, all right, this isn't my first time flying. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I snap. I'm like, I got it. I've been here 30 times. You even know my name. Stop telling me to check my pockets for keys.
Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, what do you have in your stack there, Joe?
Well, 3 deaths linked to recent Navy SEAL training. So this is something that's really hot right now at this point in time because yesterday I actually interviewed Navy SEAL Carl Higbee. In the military right now, we have this massive movement going around across the military in every branch. We're bringing women into combat. We're putting women in combat leadership positions, and we're dropping and lowering standards where they shouldn't be.
That's my issue with it, because a lot of people talk about the women in combat, and you know a lot more about that than I do. But if you have to lower the standards for anybody, whether it be male or woman, you have those high standards. I hear all the time about guys who are in the military, they wash out of SEAL school or whatever. It's a very high standard. You should not drop that standard for anybody, regardless of religion or sex or anything.
Yeah, these standards have been created through trial and error over years and years of perfecting and working on these different tactical training, all this different stuff. They've figured out the right way to weed out a certain kind of person who could be in a certain special forces field, but then not be an elite SEAL. Like, that's a whole nother level of sacrifice, a mentality that you have to have. And when you lower that standard, it goes away. The SEALs aren't the SEALs anymore. They become, the bottlenose dolphins or whatever, like the guppy fish or something like that. Like, these guys are amazing because that standard is so high. And my fear from these 3 deaths linked to the recent Navy SEAL training classes is that these politically correct people who are now in our government at high levels that work, as officers, are going to see this and go, see, we need to lower these standards too.
And it's almost like the no child left behind for the military. If you can get in there and you can do the job right, that's fine, but you shouldn't lower the standards and put other people's safety at risk. Thank you so much, Joe Biggs. All right, we'll be back right after this with more special reports.
A lot of people ask me, what is the most important area of InfoWars that runs the whole operation that is having such a big effect against the globalists? And I've said it over and over again, it is you, the listeners and the viewers, that send us the intel, the news tips, that support the broadcast, that spread the word. You are 90% of the operation or more. You don't stand beside us, you stand at the heart of InfoWars. When I talk about the people at InfoWars, from customer service, the shipping department, being just as important as our anchors, our researchers, our investigative journalists, and myself, it's absolutely true. Without this team that we've built over the last 20 plus years, we wouldn't be able to do any of what we've been doing. And that's what's so exciting, because we finally built up to a point where we now have the launch pad. Introducing AutoShip for InfoWarsLife.com, a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWarsStore.com products. Again, ladies and gentlemen, when products are sold out, you're unable to get them, sometimes for months, but we hold back the products for people that have already signed up for AutoShip. When you choose AutoShip before checkout on your order at InfoWarsStore.com, we'll give you 10% off and give you guaranteed delivery of out-of-stock products that are on your AutoShip list. Plus, we're giving you free shipping on all orders above $50. Listeners have been requesting this for years because it's so easy to forget to reorder the products when you need them each month. Now it's finally here. AutoShip at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. It's easy. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, select your favorite product, click on the AutoShip, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. As you know, I coined the term 360 win, and with the new AutoShip feature at InfoWarsLife.com, it's a sure win. You add to that free shipping on orders of $50, it is a can't lose. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and save 10% off on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting AutoShip at checkout, and get free shipping on all orders above $50. That's InfoWarsStore.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139.